All right, everybody, welcome back. So last video we talked about how to pull that power from your low body, your feet, your core, your hips, whether you're kneeling on the floor on a yoga mat or like on a bed, whether you're standing or seated. If it wasn't obvious in all those positions, a key component of that is keeping your knees bent, and just kind of having that light kind of buoyancy movement that we talked about. Another thing important is when you're massaging someone, they should be lower than you, right? So like if someone was sitting in a chair next to me, excuse me, it would be really hard for me to, like reach their shoulders in a way that's not going to like hurt my body. Like I don't want to be reaching up here towards their neck and going like this. So I want them either, if I'm in this chair, I would either ask them to get on the floor so I could lean into their body and allow gravity to help me out, or I would ask them to get in this chair, and then I would imagine this is their shoulders. Like I would allow gravity to help me here as well. So yeah, and if they're if you're kneeling on the bed or if you're kneeling on a yoga mat, obviously you're also going to be higher than them. What else? All right, let's talk about stacking. So what do I mean by stacking? I'm talking about joints. So we did some stacking mostly with our low body last video, with making sure hip and knee and foot are all in alignment. That's one kind of stacking. I also want to have my arms be stacked in a nice way that's supporting shoulder, elbow, and wrist and fingers. So if you watched the first video where we did some stretching out, we were already kind of like learning to stack a little bit, with the exception of this position is something we did to stretch out. This like pulling fingers forward and back thing. I don't want to see, well, I won't be able to see y'all, but I don't want anybody to be doing this, pushing into somebody with the wrist bent like this. If you see creases, no, try to get your wrist straighter. So how does that work? I will get into tools in a minute, with which is going to be like stacked fingers, soft fist, forearms, elbows, all that. We'll get there. But in the meantime, go ahead and practice just stacking your joints and not breaking your wrists. Okay. So one other thing. Imagine that your joints are all stacked here. You press into somebody. It's okay if your shoulders naturally rise from the contact that you are making with someone else's body, and there's kind of like a pushing off of each other feeling. What I don't want you to do is get your shoulders up in your ears, because now you're using your upper body. You're not pulling from your lower body to help someone. What am I saying? Help yourself by using that energy from your lower body. Okay, what does that look like if I'm standing up? All right, so rather than me getting stuck here and now I'm using my upper body, it's okay if my shoulders naturally rise like that. There's just, the chair is pushing off of me. I'm pushing off of the chair, right? It's gonna, if I like resisted, I'm causing more tension by like not letting my shoulders rise at all. But there's a difference between this and this. Okay, so let's talk tools. All right, so soft fists. Go ahead and make a fist, squeeze your fist. I don't want any of this tension in your fists. Go ahead and loosen your hands so much that you almost just barely feel your fingers touching each other. This is a soft fist. What does this look like? So, if I was stacked, and imagine again my person is lower than me, this is a soft fist. I'm using this part of my fist. You can also use your knuckles, but again, I want to keep it stacked. So when I'm using my knuckles, I'm usually using more of this part. So it's going to look like that. Okay. I can also use fingers, using kind of this part of my fingers. Excuse me. If I want to add additional pressure, I just stack it up with my other fingers. What do some of these things look like standing up? Here we go. Again, I got my back foot going. Soft fists. Knuckles. And you can already see I'm not using my thumbs. Keeping my thumbs protected. Let's get rid of that thought process about thumbs right now. Thumbs, you might end up using them if you're like a little bit, if you're squeezing someone's fingers or toes. Maybe you're using your thumbs a little bit on someone's head. Other than that, I'm going to really encourage y'all to not use your thumbs. We already overuse our thumbs on our phones. We already have a lot of thumb problems. It's very easy to injure your thumbs immediately for using them in massage. So if you get you get encouraged to use your thumbs all of a sudden while you're massaging someone, remember your other tools: stacked fingers, soft fist, knuckles. If I find myself using my thumb and I'm like, oh, this is a spot I really want to like get into good, this is what I'll do instead. Now I have the support of my other fingers and kind of my whole hand in a way of this thumb. And so I'm not even like I'm getting in there like this, but it's not this, right? Like this is leaving my thumb joint really unprotected. So now I got a nice cushion for it to land on. And I'm using kind of mostly like right in here. All right. What else? Finger pads as well as fingertips, both good. Forearms. So, let me get on my fake bed here to show a forearm. Pretend that I'm kneeling on a bed. All right, and I'm powering. Maybe I'm like straddling someone's leg here. Maybe I'm on the side of them on the bed, so their body is here or something. Maybe I'm trying to get like a nice forearm into their glutes. So I'm just going to use this nice fleshy part of my forearm. Bone on bone, no. First of all, let's not be massaging other people's bones. If somebody has something going on real close to a bone, have them go to a massage therapist. But just at home massage, let's keep it nice and soft, into a nice soft area of your person. I'll show you how to use the elbow in a moment, but with forearm, like if you get into the bony part of your forearm, it's going to feel like a lot more pressure for the other person, and maybe not in a great way. Check in about it. But if you're using your forearm, it can look like this. Right? So I'm still stacked, and I'm just using my low body to get into it. So I'm on the chair, I'm dropping into my knees, dropping into their shoulder. Okay. If I'm using my elbow, again, the boniest part of my elbow might not feel the best. So I'm really using more of this part of my elbow than the point. Also using the point can also end up hurting you, especially if you kind of accidentally get into a more bony spot than someone else. So this is what I'm doing with my elbow here. And again, I'm letting my shoulder rise naturally, but I'm not hiking it up into my ear. Okay. So we did forearm and elbow. These tools can be, used in stationary ways or in moving ways. So maybe I'll use my forearm like this. I'm moving up someone's leg or moving up someone's back like that. What else? Palms. So imagine someone sitting in a chair using this part of my palm, lower part of my palm, and again, just pushing into them. All right. So, what else? Oh, when you are especially using an elbow or a forearm, make sure you're not like throwing your arm. We don't want to throw a shoulder out here. We are sinking in, and if we need to move your feet, just say you're like gliding along someone's glutes, move your feet if you reach the end of your extension. So if I'm here and I'm like, oh, at this point I'm going to have to go like that, or I'm going to have to move my feet and continue, stop and move your feet before you continue. All right. So, yeah, let's stop there. There is a whole lineup of videos I've already made on effleurage and petrissage and other Swedish massage techniques. So look for that series of videos that talks about the Swedish massage techniques to kind of start to incorporate these body dynamics and the tools that we just talked about. And you can use those with those techniques in that other series. All right, thanks y'all.